Bamia for President 2028, don't waste your vote. Vote wisely. Vote for the party to bring development to the country.
Don't even try to vote for NPP again. They do not even deserve to see power for the next 20 years.
Exactly. Give us more time. I mean, the NDC, give us more time to be able to do more developmental projects for you because we need it.
My role model don't die, so I did here for the meantime.
We've brought together 4 bold voices to tackle one of Ghana's most heated political questions. Which party can truly develop the country? NPP or NDC?
Hi, I'm Ato.
I'm Ian.
My name is Ajwa.
My name is Timothy, and today we are here to talk about
NPP versus NDC. Which of these parties could truly develop Ghana?
I believe that the NDC has a better chance because they've done things to prove that over the years.
I support the NPP, and I think that they have been unjustly vilified in this country, even though they've put in a lot of measures to make sure that the average Ghanaian's life is much easier.
As it stands now, NDC has the better chance to do it, and historically, that's what they've proven. But then, let's see what my other colleagues say on the topic.
I know there is this perception of apathy where people tend to think both parties are the same, but I am vehemently opposed to that idea. I think that when you look at the history of both parties, when you look at the policies they bring forth or what they represent, there is a clear delineation between both parties, and there is one party which clearly stands out as the better choice for Ghana and to help in our development.
From promises to performance, policies to real impact. This is not just politics. This is Ghana's future. NPP has a clear vision for turning Ghana into a business-driven economy.
We can look at all throughout history, but we can also look at, especially during the first tenure of Nana Addo Dankwa, the former president of Ghana. We could clearly see that Ghana was on a trajectory of intense development during the period. That was before we had the most unfortunate global incidents such as COVID and then the Russia-Ukraine war, which destabilized our progress. We can look throughout history, we can look at during Kufuor's tenure where there was the NHIS that was implemented, which saved so many lives of the average Ghanaian. We can look at policies such as free SHS as well, which has empowered the average Ghanaian, especially their kids, to be able to gain secondary education as well. So clearly we can see that the policies of the NPP are geared towards improving the lives of Ghanaians and also improving our economic situation as well.
I personally don't agree because if we are to, yes, you have mentioned some great policies, but at the end of the day, we are looking at the economy. If you're giving people access to free SHS, it doesn't necessarily mean that they would come out of the SHS or they'll come out of SHS and then start businesses and then contribute to the economy in any way. The NDC is focused on growing individuals. They are focused on growing the various sectors of development which can come together to contribute to the economy. So let's look at even fishing. Let's look at mining. We see what they have come up with the gold board. We can tell that it's not just about exporting gold, but now we are looking at how we can refine this gold so that it can go out there, bring more money, and then boost the economy. So I really don't think the NPP is for such an agenda. It's the NDC that does most of those things.
Okay, I would like to say it's quite comical and funny that people say that NPP is the elitist party. NPP is the elitist party. And we are talking about education and how they've given free education. And you are making it like that is not the foundation of elitism. If NPP is making elitism available to all, isn't that the foundation of making the country like a developed country? If someone in Bolga can go to school for free, isn't that the foundation to make him an elitist?
We talk about NPP bringing about policies, NHIS, free SHS, and so on and so forth. But the hallmark of a successful vision is the application of the vision. If you have a vision and you are not able to apply it effectively, I want to give Ghanaians free SHS. Now you do not have the infrastructure to support it. You do not have the staff to support it. You have to run a double track system, shorten the time within which the students spend in school, reducing the quality of education that you claim to be given to them for free. And then let's even talk about the NHIS. You are not paying the NHIS to the hospitals. You are not paying for the scheme that you yourself set up. So how do you then call that a clear vision to develop business?
And if
the economy,
if the NHIS, well, let's look at it. We are looking at, when we say boosting the economy, we are looking at what can bring more money and resources into the country.
Thank you very much. Not to cut you.
I'm not done. So if you're saying NHIS, the government is rather incurring more cost to cover NHIS. That is what it means.
That's a bad thing. And
that is how does it boost economy? I want to understand how it boosts economy.
Okay, so
we are looking at avenues to generate more money for the country to do so many things, so many developmental projects. But if we are to even take the cost of free SHS implementation alone, how is that a boost of the economy when in actual fact government is spending more money to cater for those things?
Especially looking at the quality.
I don't get it.
Okay,
There's a clear disparity.
So the question is on economy, right?
Economy, yes.
Policies that have boosted economic growth and development.
Vision, not necessarily policy.
So we are talking about vision, right? When we are looking at boosting NPP has a clearer vision for turning Ghana into a business-driven economy.
Business. Go.
We are going to that.
You there go. No.
If we are talking about boosting a business-driven economy, the first thing we can talk about is digitalization, right? The most important thing in developing countries, right, is the ability to cut off the red tape. Is the ability to automate certain features, right? Make things quicker. So in getting your passports, you are able to get that quicker and stuff like that, right? Baumia's policy, especially when it comes to Ghana card being our official means of identification, these are policies that have aided the growth of businesses across the board, right? When it even comes to registering your businesses at the ORC, you just need your Ghana card and just a few other documents, and you can get that quickly. If you need a passport, you can just go online, go through the necessary processes and get all those things quickly. So when you look at digitalization in the first place, you can see how this is a policy that is boosting our economy, right? It's boosting business growth in the economy. Another thing I want to touch on is MOMO, right? When it comes to these interoperability, and then these digital payments. These are all policies that was championed by the NPP. And these are policies that have helped to boost business growth in Ghana, right? Because you can look at market women, you can look at, in fact, it cuts across the board.
But then you can't talk about the Ghana card, interoperability, digitalization, and then forget about all the issues that your party seem to ignore.
Exactly.
I mean, like late 2024 and the first 6 months of 2025, you could not even pay your electricity bill with the digitalization system that was brought about. It was literally not working.
Again, the prompt is about vision. I have outlined the visions of the NPP. You can now
if the vision doesn't work, it's not a good vision.
Of the NDC as well. What are the visions?
The 24-hour economy, it is not a clear vision.
How is it not a clear vision?
How is he going to implement it? And has he started implementing it?
But that is where. So you see, that is where the issue is. When it comes to free SHS, this was my issue. This was the issue.
No. It's not about free SHS. We are talking about economic related stuff, right?
I want to make a point.
Business driven economy. That's the question. That's the prompt. So free SHS does not come in here.
I want to make a point. He said, when does he intend to implement 24-hour economy? And I'm bringing free SHS in to state my point that the fact that we've mentioned it doesn't mean, or the people are anticipating its implementation doesn't mean that you should rush and do it. You don't rush to do something, you plan. And that was the issue that the NPP had with free SHS. There was no proper planning.
So does the
to
NDC
me,
have the same
there was no
problem?
proper planning. And we do not want to make the mistake of the NPP by saying just because we mentioned it during our campaign, we are going to rush and implement it. We need to put structures in place. Businesses must be established. Everything, enterprises must be well equipped so that when you start 24-hour economy, you know that you are starting from here and it's going to be running throughout. But if you don't put structures in place, you cannot just start it.
You still don't answer my
Okay,
question.
so I'm going to answer your question.
So what
I'm
are
going
the
to answer it.
policies?
So
What are the policies to
So,
bring
and-
about
and it's
business
not
and
about
business-driven
policy.
economy?
It's not about policy.
What do you mean by it's not about policy?
It's not
Wait,
about
let me
policy.
make
We are
my
talking about
point.
the vision, right?
Yes, we are talking
And-
about vision.
and-
So
and the
I'm gonna
vision
tell
drives
you
the
that
policy. So
it's
what
not
are
just
the
about
visions of the
policy.
NDC?
The vision is not just about the policy. It's also about the systems and infrastructure.
Exactly.
But you just
When in the
complained about
NDC
the fact
time-
that the free education, there were no systems and infrastructure, and you are saying the same thing.
No.
I'm saying the same thing because that is what we did better. You just set out a policy that you want to do it, but you
Exactly.
do not have the
You
infrastructure.
did not
Again, the
plan.
question
There
is
was
about the
proper
vision.
planning.
So
The
our
question
vision,
is about
let
the
me
vision.
tell you what the NDC is
NPP
doing
has
now.
a track record of vision and policies that speak to boosting the.
It's
No,
an empty
so
policy if you
need to
cannot
understand
implement
that.
it.
You see,
You
you guys,
need
you
to
look-
understand that.
You
So
guys
let
are
me
not
let me
answering the
understand
question.
that.
Okay, let me tell you about
See,
it. Let me
Okay,
tell you
okay,
about
right.
it.
You need
Let
to-
him tell us about it.
Let me
Let him
tell you
tell us
about
about
it.
it.
You need to understand. Please let me make my point. You need to understand that the NDC we are comparing to the NPP currently. We are looking at the NDC under Rawlins's era. We are looking at the NDC under John Evans, the late John Evans.
So what
Atano's
are the
era.
policies?
We are looking at the
What is
NDC
the vision?
under JD Mahama.
So what is the vision?
If we are to talk about, it's not necessarily about
So
policies.
what
I
is
want
the
you
vision?
to understand that
So
we are
the
What
putting
is the
structures
vision?
in place.
Even
Even
what are the
currently,
structures?
to
What is
boost
the vision?
Yes,
economy.
so the structures
We
that
do
were
not
put
have
in
gold
place.
board.
So the
We
structures
don't
and the
have
vision.
gold board, which is bringing in
infrastructure
money.
and the systems that were put in place. First of all, the port was expanded. The port was expanded so that we can conduct more business over there.
What
We
year?
had-
What year was that?
Oh, this was before 2016.
Before 2016.
It was before
Exactly.
2016.
Right.
We had over 4,000 kilometers of road that was built, that was tarred and made within the 2008 and 2016 era. We had a plan for 200 schools, of which 72 of them were built. And that was the basis of your free SHS plan.
SHS.
Whilst we had the idea and even spoke
Look,
about
right
it,
now
but we
are
were
talking
waiting
about
for the
a
200.
business-driven economy.
Yes.
Now the business
understand?
road.
And if
You
look at-
understand
if
the
you look
road
at-
and
if you-
ports.
If you look at the word a business-driven economy, that's fundamentally a capitalist economy. Like you are focusing on money and making money. That's fundamental.
And in
if you
Ghana-
look
You
at
need
it-
money
if you look at it-
to develop. Don't you
no,
need money
that's
to develop?
fundamental. And if you look at it, NPP
We all
is more
know that
likely.
NPP is a
NPP is more likely to be to toe the capitalist line compared to the NDC.
The fact
No,
that
you
you're
can
a
tell the
capitalist
capitalist
doesn't mean
line
that you
actually
do
and the
more.
business
they are
needs
The
road.
fact that you're a
more
capitalist,
business-oriented
you can be a
than the NDC.
socialist party and still generate
Guys,
a lot
guys,
of money.
guys.
How from business?
Guys.
Yes.
You tax more people
You-
and you have more
Guys.
people
Because the
doing
people will be
businesses because you
empowered to start to start
compare
businesses.
America to Germany.
Guys, I think at the end of the day, we have clearly stated in this portion of the debate that NPP clearly have a precedent of set out policies that help to boost the business economy of Ghana.
Yes.
And it's also on record that you guys have clearly struggled to list out clear policies of the NDC or the vision of the NDC that holds the same line. And I think we can conclude it at this juncture.
NDC prioritizes human development, not just economic statistics.
Yeah, I agree to this because we all know that development comes from the people. And in as much as you can put structures in place to boost your economy by setting up businesses, if the human capital is not well developed, obviously you will not have the right people, the quality of people to run the businesses that you set up. So we focus on how do we build or how do we develop our human capital such that even if we set up this business, anyone at all, because of the experience and the exposure and their level of education, they can handle this business in order for us to have an economy or a growing economy. So I am of the view that indeed the NDC usually focuses on those kind of on human development and not necessarily of basing on statistical growth of the economy or blah blah blah. I don't think so.
Yeah, and how the NDC does that is by focusing on infrastructure,
Exactly.
focusing on the roads, focusing on the basic businesses and the basic needs of the people. Focusing on, let's say, the cocoa sector.
Exactly.
Focusing on the farmers, focusing on the fishermen, focusing on the market women, and making things easier for them. Focusing on building marketplaces for them so that they can better conduct their business. Focusing on building roads so that they can better transport their goods. Focusing on opening schools and making it in such a way that they are cheaper for them to take their children to, so that their children will have a better future than where they started from.
Exactly.
And not just drumming up policies that cannot be enforced or cannot even be applied, as the NPP
And it's
usually
not
does.
cost effective.
Okay, I would like to ask both of you to mention one policy. Just one policy that the NDC has enacted. One. That you can directly say that it's because of this thing the people have developed. Which doesn't have to do with anything about free education, national health insurance, or TVET.
It doesn't
Like-
have to do.
It has nothing to do with free education or national health, because those are fundamentally MPP policies.
What do you mean by fundamentally MPP?
Because free education is an MPP policy. So I'd like you to mention one policy that the NDC brought about that has improved. Because when you mention infrastructure, it's very weak.
So
To add to this discussion, as we've already established, when it comes to MPP's policies that have helped to boost the human capital of the nation, we all know them. We don't even have to say it. We know free SHS. We know NHIS. We know one district, one factory.
How many?
These are all policies engineered for the masses, right? It is not just something that will benefit the elitist in society. We can look at this push for digitalization, which can be seen through even the interoperability of the Momo networks and all of that. These are things that have helped the masses, right? So these are policies we can point to, tangible things that have been done that clearly show that this is a party for the masses, which is trying to help boost the human capital of the nation, right?
Whenever I hear
What can we say about the NDC that is similar to these policies that show at least a thought of having some sort of intention to help the masses?
So
And which
in
is
20
countrywide. It's not like
in
a group of
20
people like
in-
market women.
Yeah,
Name
you-
just one.
Just
Just
The cancellation of the e-levy. The cancellation of the COVID fund, the COVID tax.
You know, this is an interesting point because right after the cancellation, you do know new taxes were brought in, right? You are aware.
They were not the same as the e-levy.
That is fine. But you take out two taxes, you bring in two taxes. What does it change, really?
No, the
It-
e-levy
it
is
changes
widespread. The COVID tax is widespread, whereas those two new taxes are focused
specific.
and very specific. So it's not like every Ghanaian who does a transaction pays the e-levy.
Okay, see,
Every
see,
Ghanaian who does a transaction pays the
I concede this point. I
Okay,
concede this
good.
point. So you are saying that MPP's contribution to boosting the development of the general population are policies such as NHIS, free SHS, one district, one factory, and NDC's contribution to this particular aspect of Ghanaian society is to take out two taxes. That is all.
No, so let me
That is all.
mention. Let me
How
mention.
because- no, because-
Let me mention.
that was the question we're asking.
Let me
We're
mention-
asking. We are telling you that these are MPP's policies geared towards the general population, helping the general population develop, right?
let me
What
mention
is
one thing.
NDC's counter to these
Let me-
policies?
okay.
And you are mentioning the removal of taxes.
Okay,
So are you saying these are similar?
I want to make a submission.
What is your
So,
submission?
We were focused on progressive quality education.
As tangible examples.
We built community schools. There were areas or there were communities that did not have secondary schools because
That was
people
a
were
policy.
traveling miles.
The 200
just to
community schools is a policy.
Just to access secondary education. And we thought it wise that you do not need to travel all the way to another community just for SHS and come back every day like that. So many things could happen even on the journey. Mind you, the roads were not that good. And we had to incorporate that into our developmental projects.
So,
I'm
if you
not
build
done.
a, so
I'm
if you
not
build
done.
a school in the
Please,
village,
please, I'm not done. So if this is a small community, a community as small as Fafraha, they have a secondary school. Somebody who cannot afford going all the way to, say, boarding house or something, a parent can literally just walk to the school and gain admit the child to that school and have access to SHS. Mind you, we built those schools. NDC built the community schools. Now, the community schools were able to at least accommodate some of your students that you brought into under the free SHS policies. If we had not built those schools, you probably wouldn't have had, even with the schools that we built, the quality schools that we built, because they were doing mass production of SHS graduates, they caused conjunctions in most of these schools. We were looking at progressive. You were looking at, let's do it now, here and there, so that the people will see that we've done it.
And the
quality was compromised in the end. We do not want that. We were looking at progressive quality education so that we build the schools, we give people access in their local communities so that they do not have to incur cost of transportation, resources, and then moving. At least if it is in your community, you can go, you can attend, and still have quality teachers teaching you, have quality curricula developed for you to use. But you people came, you saw that we have built the schools and you thought it was enough to just do mass production of SHS graduates.
Nobody sees.
That was not the point. How is human development happening here?
The thing is, if you were going to go on a tangent, I wouldn't have chosen the education tangent. Because if we are looking at it from a policy standpoint regarding education, NPP has the NDC completely beat. So if you are going to state a policy that has helped the masses, education is not your strongest point, because when it comes to helping the masses from an educational standpoint, there is no policy that has been developed by any government in Ghana that is going to triumph against free education. You see, what you are doing is poking holes in the various policies. That the policies have these flaws here or these flaws there, but you have not stated anything that the NDC has done that has helped boost the masses, right? Because that has helped develop the masses
even
on a large scale.
Even in building the school, you are also assuming that the people can afford. That's what you're assuming.
It's a community school. If you take off the costs,
you are taking somewhere like Fafraha.
No.
If you take
they were Saitos.
Exactly.
Yes. Excuse me to say they were Saitos.
Cannot afford that.
They were not private schools. They were not private schools. They were Saitos.
On the bedding of the parents.
You are assuming that someone in a village which is quite near Banta trade, their parents can afford kind of institution. Is that what you're saying?
They were not private schools. They were Saitos. They were not even
Saitos. You like? Are you saying that?
No, but it's
as far as they can listen. As far as they could afford the Saito primary education that they were doing in their communities already, they could afford the SHS.
Are you sure?
Yes, that was the whole plan. That was the whole policy.
If the person is a Saito and their father can't pay the school fees, they will not be sacked.
Guys,
that was the whole policy.
Let's move away from the education conversation.
All right,
we are still looking at policies. We are still looking at policies that have helped boost them. Name some.
You see, the whole point is we are not looking at policies. We are looking at helping the masses.
We are looking at parties with track record, and it can clearly be seen that when it comes to policies that have helped boost the masses, right, the general population.
Under which party did we introduce the free basic education level? Can you tell me which party introduced that? It was the NDC.
We can clearly see that the NPP.
It was the NDC that introduced that.
We can clearly see that the NPP has the NDC beat when it comes to policies that help the general population, and as such, NPP may seem to be an elitist party, but when you look at the track record on the ground, NPP's policies are for the vast majority of people to benefit and just not for a minute
No,
few.
you try to make it look as though you are doing something when in actual fact, every time whatever policy you come up with, it's not in terms of rating or doing your
we are
M&E. When
talking
I'm
about
saying
the masses.
M&E, I'm talking about monitoring
masses,
and
that means
evaluation,
anybody can access it.
monitoring whatever policy you are putting out and evaluating the quality of that policy. You fail to do that, and that is what I want you to understand.
NPP's investment in human capital, education, health, and digital skills gives Ghana its best shot at long-term development.
This one, in as much as I'm for the NDC, I believe that their policies geared towards like digitalization, education, all those things, they actually they moved us a certain level in terms of the international landscape. So yeah.
Yeah,
I'll give them
I agree
credit.
that they have very nice policies. I quite remember when they were first voted into power in 2016 and some of the policies that came out of it and the support that I had for them. The very big issue with the NPP, however, is the application of the policies, the enforcement of some of the bills that they have passed, and in general, how they go about it. They come up with very nice things and then they are not able to apply them as they campaign them to be. And so the vision and the investments, that is great. But the results we get from the investment is what I disagree with.
Okay, I believe that the foundations of most of what NDC are currently proud of was built by the NPP and was spearheaded by the NPP. And it's a great illusion for people to think that the NPP is not for the people, is an elitist, and the NDC is a grassroots. It's a grassroots institution. It's just NDC masterminding and fabricating propaganda, which has been working, which works on the grassroots, but yeah. But if you look at the policies for education and everybody, it favors more of the NPP. That's what I think.
I was expecting a spirited debate with this particular prompt, but since we are all in agreement, I just want to reiterate what has been said. When we look at the policies of the NPP, we can clearly see that they are best shot at developing as a nation. As has been said also, the issue has always been implementation, right? But in terms of the party that is well equipped or that has a track record of policies, of a vision to move Ghana to the next level, to take Ghana forward, to bring development to the nation, it has been exceedingly clear that NPP is the party that can do that, right? It's not just about a feeling. It's not about your loyalties, but there is tangible work on the ground that has been done over the years, from NHIS to free SHS to one district, one factory to digitalization, right? Even when it comes to Momo, and we can even go as far and look at the banking sector cleanup as well. All these were spearheaded by the NPP in order to ensure that the financial sector is more robust and resilient to external shocks and to collapse, right? So yes, we can clearly see that indeed the NPP has the track record, has the vision, and has set the precedent for this, for development in the country.
Okay, you almost had me there, but there's one I must disagree with you on, the banking sector cleanup. It is the biggest fiasco ever in our economy. It cost us 21 billion Ghana cedis to do the banking sector cleanup. And it just doesn't make sense.
What does it make sense?
How do you increase the capital threshold for banks twice in 6 months and claim it's for robustness to the extent that even foreign banks wanted to leave the country? How? How does that claim robustness?
Doesn't work like that.
So are you blaming this on the political party, on the government at the
It was
time.
the government
Yes,
at
on
the
the
time.
government at the time.
It was the government of the day's decision to do the
It was not
banking
the
sector
government.
cleanup.
It was not the government. You see, the banking sector cleanup came about as a result of there being certain problems within the sector, right? So there was the need for it to be cleaned up. It had nothing to do. The government actually stepped in to save our financial system, right? The failure can be put to the Bank of Ghana's lack of effective supervision.
Monitoring.
And who
monitoring.
appoints
Yes.
and who
Bank of
appoints the
Ghana.
governor
Exactly.
at the time of who appointed the governor?
You cannot make this issue. You cannot make the cause a political issue. What is the political issue is the fact that the government of the day stepped in to clean up the mess. Mind you, the mess had been building for several decades now.
no.
It was a mess that had been building for several
No.
decades now.
You always
And the
find
government of the day stepped in to clean up what was a mess
You
at the
always
time.
find a way to blame the NDC.
So therefore, the government came in, did the cleanup, put in robust measures that will prevent a financial failure again, right? So in this instance, we can give the accolades to the government of the day for stepping in and cleaning up the mess, ensuring that we still have a thriving financial sector today, right? But you cannot blame the government for the mess in the first place because this was something that had been building up for several decades.
You can't
And it
say
will be-
that,
and
you
it
can't
will be-
say
and-
several decades
and it will
because
be
many
unfair.
of the 400
And it will
microfinance
be-
and
it will
savings
be
and loans
unfair.
companies.
It will be unfair to put all the blame on the government for something that had occurred over decades, right?
You can't
But what
say
we can
decades.
do, what we can
That
do,
is a misconception.
what we can do is give them their flowers for noticing the problem, stepping in, and cleaning up the mess.
And I'm saying you can't say decades.
Why can we not
can't
say
say
decades?
decades.
Many of the 400 microfinance and savings and loans
Had
companies
started-
and banks were less than 10 years old.
Exactly. So how did it
UT
start?
Bank.
How did it
When
start
did UT
years
Bank
ago?
start?
The lack of supervision
When
was
did
something.
UniCredit start?
But the Bank
Again-
of Ghana.
When
Again-
did Beige Capital start? And all the numerous savings and loans companies. You say decades, but how old are they? How old were they? Many of them were not even 10 years, 15 years old.
He's talking
And
about
the
the
problem,
systems in place.
We are
And the
talking about
problem
we are
I'm
talking about
talking
the fact
about-
that we are talking about the fact that there were weak systems in place. Government noticed it. Government engineered a cleanup.
But you acknowledge
Government
the
has
fact that
put in
the Bank of
robust
Ghana
measures.
so you do agree that the
Government
system
of
was
the day-
manipulated
monitoring.
instead of giving them a
You
fair
admitted-
chance. You
Manipulated.
manipulated the system to clean them up. You said you engineered the cleanup. You did not give them a fair chance to prove and make their businesses
when
survive.
we say engineer the cleanup, I mean they took the initiative to ensure
to increase the capital threshold twice in 6 months.
why was there the need to increase the capital threshold? Okay, let's go there. Why was there the need to increase the capital adequacy ratio of the banks? Why was it needed?
Educate us. You're the one telling us.
tell us.
So
No,
tell us.
he is mentioning the fact that it was increased twice in 6 months. And I'm asking him, okay, yes, it was. But why was that done?
I don't know. You tell me.
You tell us.
You tell me. Why
I
did
think we need
your
to-
government
I
of
think
the
we
day
need to-
see the
yes,
necessity
we
to do
all
it
agree.
twice in
We-
6
we-
months?
we
Because
agree.
I clearly don't understand why it was done twice in 6 months. The
We-
first time made sense because then the economy was growing. GDP had risen. So it had risen at the time. So it made sense for the first increment, which if I'm right, facts say almost all the banks and micro savings and loans institutions at the time survived.
So, okay, so what's the purpose of a capital adequacy ratio in banks? What's the purpose?
Tell us. Educate us.
No, I want to know.
You are making a point, so educate.
No, yeah, I am making a point, but I need it to be as interactive as possible, though. Like, what is
See,
its
let us
basis?
agree. Let us agree.
No, because
that
I made my initial point about the fact that all these are
we
things
all
we
raised
can.
our green flags to say that yes, indeed, the MPP.
Right.
I think we should just conclude that is it, because if we say we are going to go into the nitty-gritties of certain things, certain decisions that you guys made, obviously we are not going to wrap up this conversation, because in as much as you guys have done well in certain areas, putting us on a certain level at the international front, there were still some mistakes you guys made. And you cannot, I want you guys to
Every
just
political
acknowledge,
party makes mistakes.
exactly, just acknowledge the fact that you made certain mistakes, but relating the mistakes that you guys made to us, saying that it started many years ago, it's like you are not acknowledging or taking accountability of your actions. You need to take accountability of your actions. But we agree that the NPP has done tremendous job in putting us on a certain level at the international front.
Amen.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if the NDC
It's
reps
concluded.
if the NDC reps are saying this, then I have nothing more to say.
It's concluded.
NDC has a deeper understanding of Ghana's working class because it was built by and for ordinary Ghanaians.
Why was I expecting you to raise your flags? You tell us why.
Because when you look at the word, the ordinary Ghanaian, right, and you look at the word policy, we've had this discussion already. Most of the things that fundamentally benefit the ordinary Ghanaian, not a group of Ghanaians like market women. We are building markets for market women. We are building something for everybody. And this is what we constantly say. Free education is for the rich man's child, is for the poor man's child. National health insurance is for the rich man's child, is for the poor man's child. So we continue to ask you, give us one policy which affects everybody, which is the rich man's child and the poor man's child. And until now, you've not been able to give us even one.
Yes.
Even one.
Yeah, so the point is that we are from the grassroots, and so we speak more to the grassroots.
How do you speak more to the grassroots?
Like you just mentioned,
Yes.
okay, like you just adequately mentioned.
Yes.
Markets, roads, schools, even hospitals. And
Roads
not even
doesn't speak to the grassroots.
and it does.
Because all of
Oh, it does.
Can the average Ghanaian
If-
afford a car?
afford the car.
No, you
Oh, no,
cannot
it does.
afford
Yeah,
the
it
car,
does.
but how,
It does.
how
You
do
see,
you transport
you
the
see-
goods from the
you see,
the
most
rural
of the
communities?
rural-
Talking about the
wait,
grassroots.
yes, so
We are
what's
talking
the-
about the village.
But
Yes.
how? So, if the
so the
roads are not
rural
fixed,
areas-
how do you
No, we are
transport
talking
your
about
items?
policies that affect.
It's not
Yes,
always
grassroots.
about
Yes,
policies.
okay,
Sometimes
fine.
it's about
Or
systems.
Before the main reason
It's
why
not always about policies.
the main reason why we had Doomso in the first place, the big devil that NDC was killed
Mind
for.
you,
Yes.
some the NPP introduced the PDS, and we later realized that we were even scammed. I don't know if we all remember
right
that,
now we are
that
going
issue.
away
that's
from
away
I'm
from
just
it.
mentioning.
That's
I'm just mentioning
main
that.
reason
Just,
why-
Veering away from
I'm
the
The
not-
main reason why we had the Doomso and the water shortage
Yes.
that we were so killed for is because of the fact that we were electrifying most of our rural areas. By 2016, 80% of Ghana had light. By the time where we were going to vote, that everyone wanted to vote NDC out, Ghana had excess power, and we were even selling some to Burkina Faso.
Exactly.
That was the whole plan. We were trying to do something for the whole nation. The time where you came in and said, now there's no Doomso, you had done literally nothing. You just came to share power that we had already provided.
So
for
how
you.
come that there was no Doomso?
Exactly
And
the
there
point.
was
Because-
Doomso at your time.
Exactly the
During
point
your time.
I am making to you is that
Okay.
at the time we were electrifying the rural areas.
So in the
we
course
were
of
providing
electrifying
water
Of
for
course,
them,
other areas.
we
and we
needed
were
to
expanding for
maximize-
them.
Exactly.
And we're expanding for, and you cannot
So-
leave them. You cannot just say, just like you were saying, it's for both the rich man and for the poor man. We were rationing the power as we were building up the system.
Exactly.
And
So
at
both
the
the
ti-
rich
by
man
the
and poor
time-
men were both suffering.
Exactly.
Okay.
And by the time that we had come out of the system, where you came to sit in power and said, okay, now there's no Doomso, yay, NPP no Doomso.
We put-
It was at that time we were, in fact, it's not like you even came to sell the excess power to
Yeah.
Burkina Faso and Togo. We were already doing that.
Yeah.
By the last year, 2015 ending 2016, there was no more Doomso. There was water flowing in people's pipes.
I don't remember that.
This is
you
historical
choose to
and
forget.
factual data.
You choose
and
to
you
forget.
can actually
During
check.
Mohammed's
You choose
time.
to forget.
And even if I remember that, it will be perceived as these are voting mechanics to dissuade the people from voting for the NPP, because everybody in their voting year, they make sure that the country is nice. So these may be voting mechanics. So how can I
How-
trust
how can you
in
give
your
such
last
a
year, you are-
justification?
in your last year, you are coming
How
to tell
can
me
you
that
give
now we
such
have light.
justification? How?
When in the 4 years before,
Then I can say that then we should ignore your campaign manifestos because those are voting strategies.
Exactly. If you
to
say that,
attract
if you
people
make
to
that,
vote
if
for
you
you.
say,
but
if
you've
you
been
make,
given a lot of time already.
but
You do realize that even building,
And you are the people who are even speaking against policies. We are talking about.
you do realize that even building a building does not take one day. You start today
Exactly.
and it's a whole mess.
And that's why
and
I
it
say
takes time for you to see the.
that's
complete
why I
story.
say that with the NPP,
No,
what
because
I
you're
have
talking
noticed
about
over
themselves.
time,
And
what
I told
have
you exactly
noticed-
what went with.
What
went
I've
on with
noticed
it.
about the NPP over time is that you just jump onto things. But the NDC, we take our time. So it always looks as though we are delaying. We are not delaying. We are doing proper planning before implementation.
But
You
that's-
cannot just get up and implement something. You need to plan properly. Look at the pros and cons, the cost effect of starting this project in the first place. Because if you had done all those things, you would have seen that SHS, the free SHS policy, I applaud the NPP for it, but I feel like there's a lot of things that went wrong when it got to like the implement or at the implementation level. Because if I'm able to afford a child or my ward school fees of about 20,000 cedis, and then you tell me I'm going to Wesley Girls and the government has made it free. You have absorbed the cost, but it's too much a burden for a government to bear. Why don't you still make the parents that can afford to still pay that money so that you can take off?
Mind you,
You will have some money left to do other developmental projects.
You are still poking holes. in
We are not poking
policies
holes.
of
We are
the
trying to
NPP
let you know that
without
your mass
advancing your
production of
cause.
things, we are just trying to
yes,
let you
and I
know that
just
your
advanced my
mass
cause.
production
I
of
literally
things
told
doesn't
You've
help.
not advanced your cause on this particular segment at all. You have not. The only thing you've done is we've put forth our policies, our ways of making lives better for the average Ghanaian, and you've chose to just poke holes in our argument.
No,
What is your argument?
No.
Advance your argument. You are saying that your party is one that focuses on the grassroots, that focuses on the well-being of the average Ghanaian.
Yes.
Show us how. You've done A, B, C, D. That clearly shows that you are for the people, right? What have you done in the past? Let's take 26 years. What have you done in the past 26 years? We are talking about major policies that clearly show that this is a political party that is for the people.
The
that is
constitution
seeking
we
to-
are using was done by the NDC.
The what?
The constitution we are using was done by the NDC.
No,
1992.
it was not. It was the constitution came into force during the period of the NDC, but the constitution was not done by the NDC. The constitution is
You
No,
could
so-
say that.
so-
You
so-
could
so-
say that.
so you can also say that
We
PSHS
take
came-
the correction.
Listen.
We take the correction.
The constitution.
We will take the
The
correction.
constitution.
He's a lawyer,
We
by the
will
way.
take the
was-
correction. I said we will take the correction.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
fine. So you still not answered the question. We are talking about the fact that, or the prompt is about the fact that NDC is primarily a party for the people, right? The average Ghanaian.
Exactly.
For the grassroots. Show us how.
And that
At-
is exactly
at the
what I
time-
said. We are connecting rural communities. We are electrifying them. We are getting them clean water.
Are these major policies, though?
Yes, these are major policies.
Are
That's
these
what I'm
major
saying, that
They do not have
policies?
clean
you are
water. They do not have
focusing on-
hospitals.
you
They do
are
not have
focusing
roads.
on
They do not have
policies.
their- they do not have
Sometimes
their
stuff-
you need
the
to
stuff
think
you are
about
mentioning-
systems,
basic
the
needs. The
The
structures
stuff
we
you are mentioning are things every political or every government does during their tenure.
If you had
That's
done
not
it within your
true.
tenure, you would
That's
not have
not
been
true.
had to do it.
Outside of the fact that as a government, when you come in, there are certain things that you need. Every government comes in and does roads. It is not the preserve of only one party to do roads. Every government comes in and if there was problem with the
Electric
energy
grid.
sector,
Yeah.
they put in measures to try and boost the energy to all the parts of Ghana, basically. Because even when the NDC was coming in doing this, their current term, we were facing energy challenges. And the NDC came in to help rectify the problem. So these are not things that are the preserve of only one political or only one government. We are looking at policies here that is the preserve of only one government that has helped to push a certain agenda or that has set to fix, sort of continue on the general perception of the party, right? And that is the question we are asking now. What are the policies of NDC
That's
that
why I
clearly
said
make
it's
them
not-
that
it's
clearly
not
make
always
them
about policies.
that clearly makes them the party of the people or the party that speaks to the grassroots?
We heard
And that
the
is what
cry.
you've not been
You
able to
heard the
advance.
cry of Ghanaians when you guys wanted to implement the e-levy. You heard everybody said they did not like the e-levy, but you still went ahead to
I cannot-
implement it.
I can-
The NDC came and the The e-levy was affecting
okay,
even
let's-
someone
okay,
who had one
but
CD. Who
but
had
if your only
one
point
CD,
is e-levy, then this is
the e-levy
No, you
was
see,
affecting
you-
each
when
and
you
every
cut-
Ghanaian that had even one CD in their account, sending it to
Okay,
someone
let's
else.
say hypothetically.
Do you see how?
No,
Do you
no,
see
you
how
see-
that? How
You see,
No,
the
no,
point
no,
is,
no.
if you cut electricity and roads and make it general, you remove the fact that it's not like you did 10 and I did 10.
it's not like that.
You come and do roads and I do 4,000 kilometers of roads. You cannot compare the two. You come and do
Are we-
roads.
are we-
you
are
come
we-
and do
You
it.
need
No,
to
no,
think
no.
about the
You
quality.
come and do it.
The
like
right
this.
now,
kind of
what
work
we
you
are
guys
saying
do.
is that what
You
we
come
are-
and
what
do it
you don't
like-
understand what he's saying.
No,
What he's
no, I
saying is
understand
that
exactly
if
what
you are
he's
in
saying.
a developed country, right? You cannot use roads to.
But
to
we are not a
campaign.
developed country.
No, but that's what we are.
That is the
aspiring
sad part.
to be.
That is
what
what we are aspiring
to be. We are a
But you cannot
developing
use-
country.
You cannot use roads to, how do you call it, to campaign to the grassroots that, oh, maybe
Imagine-
That is exactly what they need.
Imagine-
No, that is exactly what they need. If I cannot go to my hometown with a car, I have come to the urban
If
area.
I go to a village and I tell somebody that maybe
I said we were building community schools. We were building.
These
We
are
were building.
policies. These
We
are
were
policies
building.
that directly
We were
touch life.
building.
Every
We were building.
MPP policy
You guys,
is one that touch like it is tangible. These are things that you can feel. Go into the market, ask the market women, ask the average taxi driver on the roadside, ask them what has MP free SHS.
No, but if we did not do free basic education, how could you have done free
If we
SHS?
did not build the
If we did not build the community schools,
how would you guys have afforded
free
the
SHS
number of students that were going to go into the
managed to
schools?
touch the lives
Even
of
with
so
that,
many
you people
Ghanaians.
had congestion.
NHIS managed to touch the lives of so many
There
Ghanaians.
was congestion everywhere.
These are tangible things we
Okay,
can point
so do you
to.
agree?
And again, we asked for the last time. What are the tangible policies of the NDC that makes them a party for the grassroots?
Do you
built
agree?
community schools.
Do you agree that there are more
That
basic?
Let me ask you a question.
supported
Is the 24-hour
your
economy something
overcrowded
tangible that
free
touches-
SHS
It is tangible.
That touches the average grassroots Ghanaian.
Yes, it
The
will expand-
24-hour
it will
economy.
ex- it
So
will
there's a
expand
guy in the
employment.
village who is happy about the 25.
It will
the
expand
24 hours.
employment.
Of course.
How does it affect somebody in a village?
I don't
Like
think
the
I
grassroots
don't.
village.
But why are you
I don't
always
think we're
looking
talking
at
about the
someone in a
24-hour
village?
economy right now
How-
because
why are
it's
you-
not something that has been rolled out yet,
We are
right?
looking at
So we
working
have
class,
to wait
whether
for it
village
to
or
be
in the
implemented.
urban city.
Do
And
you
then
think
we
it can be implemented?
Personally, I don't think so. But then again, we have to give the government
We
the
live to
benefit of
see.
the doubt. You
I think we
understand?
can wrap up on
but
the
yet
conversation.
again, they have still not advanced their course in any way, manner, or form.
We live to see. We live to see. I don't think we would want. I would want us to argue about whether or not we can do the 24-hour economy
You see,
thing.
The
So we live
would
to
have
see.
done it, you would have started by now.
the needs
We are
of
doing proper planning,
The
and we need
needs-
to
Bro, you
check.
should
We
have
need to
planned when you
do
were in
proper
opposition.
M&E. We
The
don't
needs-
just
You should have
start
planned when you
something
were in
like
opposition.
we don't want to make mistakes. We don't want to incur
It's-
costs
it's
on the
generally
government
not-
like how you did with the free SHS. We don't want to do that. National health insurance, it was under the NPP government that a lot of private health insurance companies started. Why? Because the NHIS wasn't properly, it wasn't working properly. Because you go, even when you need maternal care and you have your national health insurance, they will tell you that this thing doesn't cover. Then what is the
Look,
essence
we
of the
can- we
card?
can- we cannot
and
say-
that
we
was
cannot
why
say it was a
your
perfect-
people, capitalist people, started their own health insurance companies in the country, because then people are not using the government one, so they will opt for the private ones, and that is how you still make your money. So the money goes back into your capitalist people. Do you understand it? So it's not
We
about.
cannot say it's a perfect institution, but you can.
My point is
we
made.
can suppose
I think
that
my point is
It
clear.
was made for the grassroots.
It was
made
I think my
for
point is
everybody.
clear. The fact that you made it doesn't mean that it's working
No,
properly
we are
or
not
it's
saying
working
a
the way
perfect
it should
institution.
work.
We are not saying it's the perfect institution.
I think
We
my
did
point
our
is
very
clear.
best.
All right, so guys, a quick one. I just wanted to clarify a few things. I noticed that my brother here, who speaks for the NDC, was mentioning how many roads, kilometers of roads they've done under the Atamil's Mahama government. That's 4,000 kilometers of road. Under Akufo-Addo alone, he did 13,000 kilometers of road. So let's not use road. I'd like to ask. the
It's okay.
NDC not
You
to
can-
use roads
you
as
can
one
go
of their
back.
things.
You can go back.
Secondly, let's touch on education. Just educating us. Education. You mentioned the E-blocks, which is you claim how many buildings did you say you made? 200.
the plan was 200.
The plan
They
was
made
200,
72.
And then, when you listen to all the communicators of the NDC, you realize that they all mix the figures. Someone will tell you 42, someone will say 72, Mama said 50, 54. Everyone mentions, which clearly states that they are not even aware of their figures. Now, you say that it was a means to boost it was one of the means that NPP used in boosting free education. That is fine, we agree. But then obviously, there were other schools before the E-blocks, and those other schools served this purpose. Secondly, I'm an old student of Nungwa Senior High School. I completed so many years ago. But under the free SHS, I happened to visit the school. I realized that there were new buildings that were constructed to help aid making this free SHS come to
Did
life.
you find out whether or not they were being funded by the government?
It was government funded. Yes.
How do you know?
I asked. It
We-
was
we will-
government
we will
funded.
check.
Now,
We will verify.
Adding to that, this goes to say that the free SHS, we would all say it was rushed, yes, but it wasn't. It was essential. It was at a point where people needed education. A lot of young people missed the opportunity to be educated because government after government tried to do a progressive. Now, I heard them mention the progressive, saying that the NDC started a progressive. It is very wrong. Progressive started way before even Nkrumah himself came to power. Now, Nkrumah also came to continue the progressive, giving the northern people an opportunity for progressive education. So it all counts.
Neither NPP nor NDC has ever presented a development plan that survives beyond their own terms in office.
Can someone go first? I have to get my.
Well, let me first mention that the NPP started free SHS, but when the NDC came into power, they've not cancelled it. So it means that it has gone beyond their government or their term or their tenure. That is also to just let you know that when policies are good, you don't necessarily have to cancel just because it wasn't your party or your government that started it. And I think it's very common. It's something that we need to commend the NDC government for continuing it. I know for a fact that they are trying to streamline things in terms of like its implementation. Like I said, we have identified so many gaps, and we are trying. We will try our best to correct the wrongs or right the wrongs under the implementation of the free SHS. But it is something that this government has continued, and I think they need to be commended for.
All right, so I agreed that there's no progressive plan, not policy, plan that exists or is able to go further than the point in time in which the party is in power. And I agree with it because there are singular things that somehow last. That some last, as you rightly said, free SHS, NHIS, and so on and so forth. However, the general plan of one party to say that this is my manifesto, this is the vision I want to take Ghana through from the time that I come into power, seeing forward, they put forward 10-year plans, 20-year plans, 15-year plans. But most often than not, when the other party comes into power, they cut off those 10-year, 15-year plans. And the shorter ones that they are able to complete, they complete for them and take the accolades for it. Okay. And so this is why I disagree.
Okay, I also believe that when you use the word, like you say the word plan, it's kind of like I'm projecting that in this future, this and this will happen. But if you look at the NPP's policies, for example, free education, they framed it in a way that even if the next government comes, it will be in the interest of the government to pursue that policy, which means that it will be very difficult to remove it. And that's why I personally believe that. And that was mostly the plan of the NPP. The NPP's main plan was to make education free. And they managed to carry it out. And the rest of the governments coming behind them will pursue that.
So I remember there was a national development plan. I don't remember the party that the government that instituted said plan. But I do agree with the fact that, generally speaking, both parties are guilty of not continuing the policies or the plans of the other party. And I'm not too sure, but I do remember during the initial stages where there was a push for a constitutional review. There was the talk about having a national development plan such that every government will be mandated to follow the said plan or policy, right? So in that instance, and as of now, the Constitutional Review Committee is still working through the nitty-gritties of their recommendations. So I do believe in the near future it will be something that will be implemented. Although I concede that now it is not something both parties do or adhere to.
Yeah, so we can even talk about the abandonment of the Saglemi housing.
Yeah.
We can talk about the abandonment of the district hospital project. And even the E-block was not continued by your very learned party who was pushing for free SHS. You didn't even continue that one. And there are a lot of projects that also the NDC did not continue. We did not expand the NHIS coverage as you had wanted to. And as you can see, there's also the other one that you mentioned.
Which one?
But yeah, you can.
I do agree that sometimes in a multi-party system, it may be almost impossible because both of them have their priorities. However, a wise party will be able to structure their policies in a way that it will incentivize others to continue. And that's what I believe that the NPP is better at than the NDC.
I strongly disagree with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
Why
if
so?
we are building hospitals and some of the hospitals are actually completed, the Saglemi housing is almost completed.
Okay.
Many of the buildings just need paint
Yeah.
and furnishings.
But it was
and
abandoned.
windows. But it was abandoned. The NHIS is almost complete, but it needed to be expanded. The coverage needed to be expanded. So you cannot say that the policies are not well done so that the other party is motivated or not motivated enough to want to continue it. It's just that it was not their agenda.
Yeah,
Many of the time, if we even want to go into the nitty-gritty of the corruption behind it and which of the people win the contracts and the reasons why they do not want to continue them, most of the time are personal reasons.
And-
because their supporters are not the ones who are in charge of those contracts. Or their funders are not the ones the companies that are involved in many of these contracts. And so that's the reason why they do not want to continue to give them money as
Yeah.
per se.
And not to necessarily bash any political party or government, but sometimes they come with their own priorities based off of the needs of the people at that particular time. So if the NDC realizes that, the people are calling for or they need support in the areas of education, they may focus on education, coming up with educational policies just to respond to the needs of the people. It's the same way the NPP would also do something like that. So I think maybe with continuity, it could be, we could look at how we can all, or each party can develop their policies such that there's some form of continuity. It doesn't just end as and when they are out of power, but they see the relevance in it. It's more geared towards the people and not necessarily towards party achievements. When it is done that way, then we can have that continuity. Otherwise, if this one comes and their priorities are different or they are different from the other party, there would always be that abandonment of projects that obviously are still very, very relevant.
And to add to the conversation, I don't think we have a political climate that allows for parties to continue the projects of the other.
Not at
So in as much as we are talking about the fact that it is not something both parties do, we can also acknowledge the fact that even the political climate that we are in does not encourage does not allow for parties to continue the project of their previous government or the preceding government, right? So, honestly, I don't know how or what we can do to bring about that change, but I mean, we'll see. We up and coming.
I think we have to stop running politics as a business, as your party is very guilty of. The whole point of everything you want to do is to gain power. You sacrifice so much to gain power that when you come in, you want to loot the
Family
system.
and friends.
What does
Family
sacrifice so
and
much
friends.
entail?
Selling properties and
Whose property?
taking.
You mean their private property?
Yes.
But they are private.
No, but it is their.
They-
If not to say that's what is being done, but even if it is being done, it is their own.
Giving
Yeah,
giving
and
out
then
political
when they
appointments.
have the right to do so.
Giving political appointments to
But
That
don't you
is-
think,
family
that
and
is-
friends.
Wallace also sacrificed a
That
lot
is
to get to where he
that
was?
is fine. That is what you want to do. However, when you win, you do not loot the country to recoup
Exactly.
your losses.
These are wild allegations.
They
though.
are not wild.
Oh, right now we
allegations.
have
We
these
all
are- these
know.
are- these-
Right
these-
now,
these are very
actually
wild
have
allegations.
We actually have an
scandals
operation
that came
called
out
Oral,
of
which
your
means
government.
Operation Recover All Loot.
Oral has
which
convicted
your-
how many people?
Of which
We are
we
still
are
working.
Oral
We are
has
still
almost the
working.
whole party.
We
Oral
are
has
still
convicted
working.
how many people?
We are still
still
working.
Oral has convicted how
We are
many
still
people?
working on
Give
it.
me a
And
number.
it's not
We are
oral
still
that
working.
Has
convicts the
convicted
people.
how
You're
many
a lawyer.
people?
You should
very-
know that
oh,
it's
very
not
soon.
oral
No.
that convicts the
Oral
people.
is the policy that is meant to convict or that is meant to capture the people who have partaken in the loot, right? So based on that, we can say that it is that policy that has led to the arrest of certain individuals and to their conviction.
Your-
Yes.
So when I ask,
Your finance minister is still in the state.
so when I ask,
a lot of
Oral has convicted
He's
how
now
many
fighting
people?
for residency in the States.
Let's make this point clear.
Because he knows when he comes
Oral's
down here,
mandate is to recover loot,
we will
not
do
convict
it.
people. So if
No,
you,
but before
if you
you recover
listen,
it-
How much has Oral recovered?
if you listen to the policies, the policy of the Oral,
How much has
there's the
Oral
We are
recovered?
still on the case of the National
Signals
Service
Bureau.
Boss. No,
I
we are
know.
still
Okay,
even on the case of that woman.
Right.
Exactly. So we are
Lift your-
fighting. Exactly.
Yes.
We are fighting.
Chairman to me.
We are fighting. We will get to the bottom
You see,
of it all.
these are wild allegations because largely there has not been a conviction. So to sit here and then make these aspersions, cast these aspersions is a little eyebrow raising.
No, I say this in good faith because the Oral exists and people are being investigated.
Exactly.
Again,
That being said, the fact that people are being investigated means that there's smoke, and there's no smoke without a fire.
no, but you
the
see,
NPP
no, but you see,
started this.
an investigation does not equal guilt. You understand?
Yes.
So
See-
to say there has been widespread looting and to use Oral as some sort of justification of
See,
your earlier point,
your-
whilst Oral has not led to any conviction of any person that is currently being that has been charged with certain act is a little surprising.
Your government started this
I
office of the special prosecutor.
That
thing.
is so.
But have you realized how effective that office has been since the NDC came into power?
Office of the Special Prosecutor
Exactly.
is now effective.
It is working. They are doing things, and it's evident. It's clear.
As per they were not working before.
I'm not saying they were not working before.
So
but
what?
we
So what is the major
we
difference
see-
between Oral then and Oral between the OSP's office then and the OSP's office now?
we see the efforts they put
Oh come
into
on.
The difference here being that the president of the day has not cancelled any OSP investigation, has not intervened in any OSP
Nothing.
investigation of any member of cabinet, past or present, which your president did. So yeah, and in essence, there are a lot of reasons why both parties do not extend the projects of the other. It could be corruption, it could be their own personal aspirations for the country or their own personal visions that both parties do not seem to agree on.
and changing
And the
priorities.
political climate.
And of course, the political climate.
Changing
of the-
priorities.
and the fact that we, although we are not a two-party country, we seem to be just a two-party country. And we have successfully divided ourselves to think that if one is not the other, then we must obviously choose a different option. So yeah.
The real reason Ghana is undeveloped is due to the fact that both parties prioritize winning election over governing the country.
Okay, I believe that in the grand scheme of things, we are in a democratic institution. So 100%, you have to focus on winning the election. You have to put in some effort to winning the election. However, if you look at the policies that a lot of people have chosen, or some political parties have chosen, some political parties seem to be more interested in the development of the average person than some political parties. And it's very evident in the outcomes and the policies and how the country is when they are not there. Thank you.
So I'd like to make a slight tweak to the question. I don't think the parties necessarily prioritize winning elections per se. I think they prioritize enriching themselves, right? So Ghana, as we all know, is a poor country. And the political elite, as we can call them, are more interested in ensuring that they are so insulated from the problems of the average Ghanaian, right? So their priority here is to enrich themselves more, and not necessarily, of course, winning the elections is a means to enriching yourself. So in that sphere, I can understand.
Yeah.
But I think their priority is geared more towards enriching themselves through dubious contracts, through certain policies that are a little eyebrow raising. Even now, we are going to do a second SIM registration, which we can all clearly see is a little dubious, especially when you take into consideration the fact that the initial SIM registration has about 80% of the data matching, and there was only about a 20% discrepancy. Yet still, we are going to do another SIM re-registration, and you can see that this policy is geared towards is a procurement-minded policy, such that the persons who are going to engage in the SIM re-registration are going to profit greatly, right? So clearly, there was that edge towards enriching themselves as opposed to bettering the nation as a whole.
Yeah, if you say that, it's kind of gives me the vibe that you do not actually see what the NPP does. Because this SIM registration, that was just twice.
An example. That was just an example.
All right. Fine. But yes, we are geared towards winning the elections, and as we all have agreed, most of the time as I said earlier, they are sacrificing personal things. And anyone who has invested into something obviously hopes to recoup some profit. And so party supporters funding the party to win the election definitely wants some employment, some post, some contracts, not necessarily directly giving them money, but in the sense that they gain a certain unfair advantage over other people who do not necessarily contribute to the party winning that election.
As we can see from the NDC grassroots fighting for jobs.
Which they haven't been given yet. Yes. So you cannot use to prove your point.
And they are not
compared to...
There was an executive mandate from Mahama stating that the military should open up its more members.
As compared to you opening the police up three times in 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
3 times in 8 years is pretty small, if you ask me. 3 times in 8 years.
And you have more than triple the number of police people in the country in 3 times.
Listen. Let me tell you what is interesting. Last week, Atoforsen came before Parliament to say that 40% of our GDP, right, is being used to pay public sector salaries, right? Okay. Such that we need to borrow to pay public sector workers. In that same week, Mahama gives a mandate that we should open up the military to include more persons. And these persons are NDC grassroots members who have been complaining on social media that although they have worked for the party, they've not seen any benefit. They've not reaped any fruit from all the work they did for their party, right? So these are clear, tangible examples. As at last week alone, that clearly show that, the government of the day is geared towards enriching itself and its people, and not necessarily focused on we the people at large, Ghanaians at large.
The interesting thing for you to mention the military. The ending of last year, I had a military experience program for for a week. And I just actually learned within that week that the military actually earns money for the nation more than they spend from the nation. And you know how they do it?
Tell me.
By going on peacekeeping missions, by gaining funding from the UN, from other countries that they support. We do not fight any wars in Ghana here. So most of our military personnel end up going on peacekeeping missions almost all the time. They go on stationary stand. How do I say it? They travel to other countries to serve as security for them. They go to war zones. When they bombed the Iran place, there was actually a battalion in the UN, a Ghanaian battalion that was bombed.
I think it was Lebanon, but yes, you're right.
Yeah.
Cool.
You get it.
But
so the military actually earns money for the nation. So if we are expanding our military personnel, we're actually trying to expand how much we earn for the country through the military.
Mind you, the military, the leaders of the military themselves undertook their exercise, realized they had taken the number that was fit for their service, right? And they had closed off the recruitment exercise, only for the president exercising his executive powers to unilaterally open up this exercise again. Now, the point you made about the military earning money for Ghana, how does it negate the point I have raised?
You said that we are going to borrow money to pay for it.
That was what
that was your predicating point.
That was what Atoforson said last week. Yes, and mind you, they're going to borrow money to pay for it. It's not just the military; it is public sector as a whole.
But you mentioned the military as an example. It
was just an example of
and he is
government having a mind that is just fixated on enriching itself and its people and not focusing on the Ghana at large.
He's also pointing out the fact that the military actually brings in some form of money.
And you see, his point does not negate mine. Do you understand?
Granted.
It does not.
Granted. If we take the military as an example out of it, it doesn't negate.
It doesn't negate.
Yes, but then you can build a pit with $100 million. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't believe this hasn't come up till now.
You can build a pit with $100 million.
Actually, it was 56 or so, but we are not disputing.
Oh, really?
It's still a very.
Oh, really?
It's still something we should gloss over, but we are.
Yeah, and you can patch a road with $330 million US. Wow.
Again, if we want to go into, if we want to go into the scandals of both parties, we will not start now because you people also say. You were engaging in what Guinea fowl projects, which flew to Burkina Faso and what not. I mean,
don't start.
Come on, if we add the figures and actually we even had the Guinea fowls. What about you who took 12 million to go and do surveying and you didn't even weed the place for the dam?
Again, we can talk about you guys. We can talk about you
guys can you believe this?
And your blatant conflict of interest in letting the president's brother provide the private jet, and as compensation,
at the end of the
he did not.
We are trying to save costs,
and as compensation,
we are saving costs,
and as compensation,
we do not have money
provide
to spend.
him with all the available mines in Ghana, in which he is taking over one by one. But yeah, these are discussions for another.
We are
How
saving
do
costs.
Prove that?
How do I prove what?
How do you prove that?
Are the people
how do you prove what? Don't you watch the news?
We are saving costs.
Don't you watch the news? How do you prove what?
Everything right now.
He won it fair and square.
How do you prove what?
He won it fair and square. If there were other companies that had the capability, they would have also won. Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. That's all right.
Hi, Ajua here again, and we have just wrapped up debates, mini debates or banter on the topic between the NPP and the NDC. Which party can develop Ghana better. And I chose the NDC, of course. We can see the beautiful things they're doing for us currently. The NPP guys tried to cook us, but we won, believe me.
Hello, my name is Timothy, and as you can see, we cooked them. It was so obvious that they are not even in tune with the policies of their own political party, which means that their political party doesn't have relevant policies. And it was just an easy slide for both the NPP guys.
It was really hot, and unfortunately, it seemed like the NPP were trying to use their elitist, educationist, high English, a lot of English, to say things that were not true. Especially one of my colleagues talking about how much Ibrahim Mohammed's contract with the gold mines was attributed to him giving the president his private jet to use at the very beginning, but we all know that's not true. I would love to see what you guys have to say in the comments, and please, we need the support. They really cooked us.
We did a really good job defending the integrity of the best political party Ghana has currently. And I think you would all agree with me once you watch the video. All right, I'll see you around. Bye.
Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Check out our social media platforms at Banta Space for more engagement. See you same time next week.